So, when it comes to my hobbies, I make most of the time, I bake stuff a lot. Like, I make cookies and cakes and just anything really. Just not really real food, just anything I could really bake. But sometimes, if I were to make something, which isn't, I guess, like a dessert, I do make bread, like any type of bread recipes, but that's somewhat easy, you know? And when I bake stuff, I try to not make it again. So like if I make chocolate chip cookies, I try not to make them again because I think, at least for me, I feel like I'm wasting time if I make the same thing twice. Because instead of making the same thing twice, I think I could make something that I never made before and just, I guess, learn how to make new stuff. But I guess not everybody does that. Maybe some people do. And I think that's just the best way to learn how, I guess, bake new stuff and learn how to make new stuff. But if I were to make, I guess, cookies again, I always try to at least change it up a little bit. Like I made, like brownie cookies before, and it basically was, I guess, a brownie, but shaped like a cookie. The top of the cookie was, like, it had the texture of a brownie, the top of it, and I'm going to assume it tasted like a brownie since it was a year ago. I kind of forgot how it tasted like. And I also made just a plain chocolate cookie, like it's just chocolate cookie, and I think it was just okay. I used white chocolate chips. That's what the video I watched did. And when I tasted one, just to see if I liked it, and I realized that I didn't like white chocolate chips, but I still used them because it was the only chocolate chips I had. And also, I made other cookies. They were basically chocolate chips, but I put like a Hershey's bar in the middle of it, and I just like, there was, like, I don't know how to say it, there was cinnamon all around the cookie and stuff. And my family, sometimes they ask me to make those cookies again, but I don't really do that since I just think, like I said before, it's a waste of time, at least for me, to make the same thing twice. But sometimes they do ask me to make something that I already made before, and most of the time I never do. But I think one day when I made everything and baked everything that I wanted to bake, I might go back and make, other stuff that I made before. So I made cinnamon rolls before too. And when I make stuff, everything I make, I try to make it, homemade. Like the icing I used for the cinnamon rolls, that was homemade. And I guess the bread, I guess you call it the dough for the cinnamon rolls, that was also homemade. I just try to make sure it's all homemade and not, I guess, store-bought like cake mix or cookie dough and stuff. Like obviously chocolate chips, butter, eggs, that, it's come from the store. But like other stuff, like the main ingredient, I try to make it myself. But I just feel like it's better that way, to make it homemade. I think it tastes better, and it's more fun, I think. And it also, it's more work, and it's much more steps to make something homemade. But I feel like since you're making it, you know how you want it to be, and it's just much better doing it that way. And I made cakes before. I made only 2 cakes. One was a plain vanilla cake. It was a 2-layer. In the video I watched, they used cream cheese icing. So, I made that, put it on the cake, and I didn't like it at all because I don't like cream cheese. Since the icing was cream cheese, I just think it didn't taste good. But like my family, they said they liked it, which, I mean, I guess it makes sense since they like cream cheese. But I don't know why, I just didn't make any other type of icing. And my other cake that I made, it was pretty sure just a chocolate cake with buttercream icing, which was also homemade, so it's a cake mix and stuff, homemade, all of that. And like, I honestly think icing, like, out of all the stuff I made, I think icing, it's super easy to make. I think anyone mixer or stand mixer. You just have one of those two. Icing is super easy to make. It's so hard to mess up, I think. I guess if you overmix it. But it's kind of obvious when the icing is done and ready. So it is hard to overmix it. I know that you can buy like store-bought icing, but like making your own icing, it doesn't take long at all. It's super easy. I wish more people they did that instead. But I guess if you don't have time, then it makes sense. But if you do have time, you have all the ingredients. I think it's better to just make your own icing. I also made whipped cream before, and like it was good. It really was good, but I'm not really sure. Like, I made it because the first time I made whipped cream, it didn't turn out right because I didn't use a hand mixer, so it didn't turn out right. So I made it again, and this time it turned out right. And after it turned out right, I wasn't really planning on putting it on anything. I didn't have an idea. But I put it on like ice cream and I think strawberries, and it was really good. My family had some too. They liked it, but I don't plan on making it again. But it was still nice just learning to make stuff, random stuff that I'll never make again. And I remember I tried to make pizza. I watched video and stuff. I did everything correctly. But when I took it out the oven, like there was some bubbles in it, but it wasn't really the crust of the pizza didn't form at all. So it was basically cheese bread, but I didn't really care because it still tasted good. But it didn't turn out right, so I might try to make it again. But I'm not sure since it did take a lot of work. And when I made the cakes, I only made 2 cakes. They were 2-layer. And making those cakes, they honestly, I just think it's so much effort and so much work into making cakes. A 1-layer cake, I think it's just very easy. But a 2-layer cake and then putting icing on it, I think at least for me, it's a lot of work to do. So that's why I try not to make them that often because I just think it's too much. But I do enjoy it. I also made chocolate bread, which when making it and watching the video, I was surprised to see how easy it was. Like the video that I watched, it was very short, and it turned out good. It tasted good, but like I feel like it was missing so much flavor. Like there was so much I think that was missing from the chocolate bread. But it was definitely very easy to make. I honestly think anyone just going to assume that they all taste somewhat the same, you know. And I also made funnel cakes before, and the reason why I made them is because I remember going to, I think, Disneyland or somewhere at Disney. I had funnel cakes. I had funnel cake years ago, and it tasted really good. So I wanted to, have them again. So I made them, and they tasted really good too. I would say they tasted the same as Disney's funnel cakes, because maybe they did, honestly. And if they didn't, it does taste really good. It did taste really good. I also made gingerbread cookies, and it wasn't really for Christmas since I made them on, I think, December 13th. But since, it was the month of Christmas, I decided to make them. And they were, I don't know, I think they were okay. I did like them, but I'm not really the biggest fan of, I guess, gingerbread, but it still tasted okay. And I also made sugar cookies, which they're basically the same thing as gingerbread cookies, since it was, it was from the same video and from the same person. They tasted somewhat the same, but just basically it was the same, but just don't add any ginger, which, does make a huge difference. Basically the same exact cookie, but I did like them too. They're both good. I also made cookie bars, I think a year ago, and I'm pretty sure they were in the oven too long, so they were kind of crunchy and burnt, and they just tasted okay, but I like them, but I definitely could have done better, but I don't plan on making them again. And I also made coffee cake, which was this year, a few months ago, and I'm pretty sure there's no coffee in the cake, but if you were to have coffee, you would eat the cake with it. And I did like it at first. I had my first piece of it. I didn't really like it that much, but after my second piece of having it, I realized that it's actually, it's okay. I did like it. And I also made dinner rolls, which they were honestly kind of flavorless, to be honest, but they were still good. Like, I did like them, since I made them and stuff. I liked them. It did take, a few days to make it. It was a somewhat long process, but they were good. I liked them. And, I think that's everything that I've made, but I did forget, I did kind of forgot. I did forgot. I'm not sure, but I did, I made a lot of stuff, so I'm not really sure, what else I've made. I do think I told you everything I have made, but maybe I didn't, because I honestly make a lot of stuff. I think about every week, or at least every month, I'm positive, every month, I make something like maybe 2 to 4 things every month. So, yeah, but I do think I told you everything that I have made. And this video, it was mostly just telling you that I bake stuff, but also I have other hobbies, I guess, I play games, but I don't really count that as a hobby, since it's something that I always do, and I always done. Since, playing games is something that I've always done, I plan to always do in the future. I don't really count it as a hobby, since it's just somewhat a part of my life. That's at least how I see it. I guess, making YouTube videos, but aside from that, mostly, I guess, gaming and baking stuff. And I also, I have books, I have every Harry Potter book, and I never even read them. I only read the second book. I read the first and the second book, and I just stopped. So I should read them one day, but I doubt I will. But I really think I should, since they are good books and good movies. And you're successful and